Leon Rose, year 5. Can you guys believe it, man? Time flies. Leon Rose on this day in 2020. The Rose era began, man. Dolan pulled the trigger and went for the player agent route to put the team together. He went that way. And so the question is tonight for everybody is, how do you guys rate the Rose regime so far? What is your grade for the Rose regime so far? If I have to give you mine, like if I'm going to give a letter grade, I'm going to say a B and maybe even an A minus. Yeah, I'm going to go even an A minus. They brought stability here. They brought us out of the dark ages. Knicks were in the dark ages for 20 odd years. 20 years. They were in the dark ages, man. Leon and these guys, they brought us out of the dark ages. And in a lot of ways. Number one, bringing Tibbs here. Yes, Tibbs haters, we're going to get on KnicksFanTV. Starts now. Bringing Tibbs here. You brought a coach that you can set the groundwork for the culture. That was vital in bringing Tibbs here. They made the playoffs. What, three out of the 4 years? 3 out of 4 years so far. Headed for 4 out of 5. Excellent job. Brought in the coach. One of the things that good leaders do is surround themselves with talented individuals. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You guys hear that? In business terms, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. He brings in Brock Aller. Manage the cap. We got this second apron thing coming up, the new CBA. Study it. We got to know what to do, not just today, but tomorrow. We got to set it up. And they do that. You see how this team plays chess. The moves, the players that they have now, they could not have gotten if they were not prepared last year, the year before that, the year before that. Everything has been a domino effect in how they put this team together. Aller, Perrin. You get Gerson Rosas. You get Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that they needed Rosas to do that, but you got a guy in here who's known to have relationships. This is a relationship business. So you bring him in there. You got Worldwide Wes. Still don't know his job. He's like Tommy from Martin, but welcome. Welcome, Wes. We love you anyway. I don't know what he does. He's like Tommy from Martin, but I rock with him. Every time I see Wes, I'm like, yo, there's Wes, man. Shout out to Wes. Shout out to you, Unc. You know? Walt Perrin, the scouts. You know, look at all of the later round. You know, lottery didn't work out. The Obi pick, dud pick. Right? Didn't bat 1,000. The Obi pick was a dud pick. But quick. Deuce. The late rounders. You know, Grimes had his ups and downs. So I think they drafted well. They managed the cap very well. They managed the cap very well. And they did not, until this past summer, mortgage the future on stupid moves. Not saying the Bridges move is stupid. That will be evaluated in a few years. But they did not mortgage the future. They did not make any panic moves. And sure, they had plan A's that didn't work out. Hey, when the first year, when they made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years, I mean, this roster, I mean, even before that, let's go before that to what this roster looked like during that, before they even got, this team together. Let me go back here. I'm pulling it up on the Strickland. Let's take a look at the roster prior to Leon Rose getting here. Take a look at this. Take a look at this roster. Remember Kadeem Allen? They drafted RJ, Iggy Brazdakis. Bullock was good. Bullock was a good player for us for a couple of years. Whole team, I did like Dotson for a little bit, but then he fell off very, very fast. Wayne Ellington wasted time. Taj was good. Very good for us. Mo Harkless, Knox, flamed out. Mook, Marcus Morris, shout out to Scott Perry. He was able to flip Marcus Morris, who was playing like damn near mellow, and they ultimately used that pick to draft quickly, making some moves to draft quickly. Frank Ntilikina was a dud. Peyton, serviceable, and then turned into a player, but that was fine. Portis didn't work out here. Julius, great for what he was. Mitch, elder statesman. Dennis Smith Jr. and Alonzo Trier. That was the roster that Leon Rose was looking at when he got here. First year, he takes DSJ and a second-round pick and brings back Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose gets here and becomes the best player on the team. Right or wrong? They make the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. They brought in a guy who could take pressure off of Julius and RJ. Wasn't perfect, but this is the foundation that they had. They were working on. They had to move some chairs around to get this thing steady. And so they were able, one of the things I like that they were able to do is acquire players on the margins. Derrick Rose. All right, they tried something with Cam Reddish. The coach wasn't on the same page with that. It flamed out. It was a dud. It is what it is. But then they take Cam Reddish and a conditional first, conditional first, and turn it into one of the best trades in franchise history, Josh Hart. Phenomenal move. One of the best trades, a fleece, and the Knicks don't fleece anybody. A lot of luck comes into team building. They're lucky that Dallas, who now we see as a history devaluing players, devalue Jalen Brunson enough that they can go out there and get him. They made the chess move. They bring Rick to the coaching staff. They punted on the draft to what a lot of us were disappointed in, but they were playing the chess move. They brought in number 11. 3 years later, he's the captain of the team. He's a superstar in the league, and he's making his all-star appearance for the second time, the starting point guard for the Eastern Conference All-Stars. How about the move that they made to get DiVincenzo with the mid-level exception? A player who arguably made a case for Sixth Man of the Year last year if it wasn't for the games played requirement that he missed. Steal. They drafted a player in Emmanuel Quickley who finished second in the league in Sixth Man of the Year running. Big pick. Julius, All-Star, All-NBA. They had the gumption, the stones, the balls to turn RJ and Quick and go get OG Anunoby. How that works out in the end, we'll see. Injury prone, yes, but the record with the team is undeniable. When he's healthy, that was a major, major trade that they made in terms of putting together a cohesive roster. RJ and Julius didn't fit. We knew that one of those guys was going to have to go. And ultimately, both those guys had to go to get even better, to raise your ceiling even higher. So, they trade those guys. They trade Julius to bring in Karl Anthony Towns. They changed the offense. And so all the moves that they made in these last 5 years has put them in a position to be a true contender. We'll see, because Cleveland made their moves and they're much stronger. But how do I put it? A respectable contender. They can be in the conversation. And depending on how things play out this season, who knows what can happen. We haven't even seen this team at full strength. So in these 5 years, these guys have done, and it's not easy, man. These guys have done so much to put a cohesive roster together that is now winning 40 to 50 games a year, 3rd, 4th, 5th seed in the East, consistently they changed the identity. They went from a predominantly defensive team to a high-octane offense. How about the Deuce contract? Somebody said in the chat. That's not easy. Think about this. As they say, there's many different pathways to building a contender, right? But the majority of the winners have come from the draft. Who won it last year? The Celtics, Brown and Tatum. The Nuggets, Jokic and Murray. The dynasties have always been draft. Always been led by the draft. Golden State. Bron when he won it with Cleveland. And Kyrie. So they had to go at a completely unconventional path to put a respectable contender on the court. And so now comes the hardest part. And that is going to be the subtle tweaks to get there. They have a superstar on Brunson. They have two guys in the top 10 in MVP ladder with Towns. OG, McCall, like they're right, they're there. They just need a little bit more, just a little bit more. But make no mistake, these 5 years, they've done a hell of a job turning this thing around.